let me go through the steps of inner bonding. Step one, and I went through this very briefly last night. Step one is that you learn to get present. And let's just do this right now for a moment. I want you to take some deep breaths. Take some deep breaths and put your mind on your breath. This is a mindfulness practice. And as you breathe, let your breath take you from mind focus into body focus. Putting your mind on your breath, breathing in, and letting your breath breathe down into your body and get inside your body. And as you're breathing, scan your body. Notice any physical sensations, because emotions often show up physically, like if you feel any tension somewhere. There's an emotion attached, often anxiety, some other emotion. So just scan your body. Notice if what you feel, if there's any fluttering, any emptiness, any tension anywhere, butterflies, feeling of aloneness inside. Just notice. Or maybe there's a positive feeling. Maybe you're excited. Maybe you feel full. See, those feelings, the positive feelings, are letting you know that you're taking loving care of yourself in that moment. But anything other than peace and fullness inside, those feelings are letting you know that you're abandoning yourself in some way. Now, we need to know this. This is why it's so important to be in the body, because the body lets us know immediately whether we're loving ourselves or whether we're abandoning ourselves. When I first started to practice inner bonding, I was in my head. I grew up to be a caretaker. I grew up to be tuned into everybody else's feelings, but not mine. My feelings didn't count. I had to take care of everybody else, but not me. How many of you grew up as caretakers? You don't have to raise your hands, but I know a lot. I know a lot of people did. A lot of people learned that their worth was in giving themselves up to take care of other people. That was me. And so I didn't know what I felt about anything. And it took me quite a lot of practice to remember to move from my head into my body. In fact, I had to wear this little gadget called a motivator, and it buzzed against my body every 5 minutes. And I would remember to check in. What am I feeling? What am I feeling? And I wore a rubber band to remind me, and I had notes all over the place to remind me, because I just couldn't even remember to stay in my body. And that's true of most of the people I work with, because we've learned to be in our head. But our feelings are in the body. This is what I call having your inner baby monitor on. Like if you have a baby and you want to be a loving parent, you don't put the baby to bed and go out to lunch, right? And in fact, what most parents do, if the baby is not in the room with them, is they have a baby monitor on. And the moment the baby cries, they go in, they pick up the baby, and they try and figure out what's wrong. Does the baby need to be fed? Does the baby need a diaper change? Does the baby need rocking? Is the baby lonely? What's going on? Well, that's what we need on the inner level. Imagine you got a baby in here, and that baby is letting you know through your feelings whether you're taking care of yourself or whether you're abandoning yourself. And so now at this point, since I've been practicing this for so long, if I get any twinge other than peace inside, I'm on it. What did I just say to myself? How am I treating myself? What am I ignoring? And so that I can deal with it right away. Because what I found is that if we don't deal with it right away, we kind of wind down into that rabbit hole. It kind of gets worse. And then we end up with anxiety, depression, guilt, shame, anger, aloneness, emptiness, all these wounded feelings that come about from self-abandonment. So, somebody say something? So, this is a practice. It takes practice. Like anything worth learning, it takes practice. And I hope you start to practice this journey from moving from your mind focus into body focus. It's one of the longest journeys you'll ever take, but one of the most important. And so once you're in your body, you want to make a decision to take responsibility. I want responsibility for my feelings. Just important to say, yeah, I want that. And then in step 2, so let's do that right now. I want you to breathe into your heart. Just take some breaths into your heart and make a decision that you want to be open to learning about loving yourself. This is unbelievably powerful to make this decision that you want to learn to be loving to yourself. This is where intention comes in, is in step 2, where we decide our intention. And part of step 2 is opening to a higher source of love and wisdom. Now, unfortunately, many people have had what I call spiritual abuse, where they were taught that God is a man in the sky who's judgmental, kind of like Santa Claus, knows when you're good and bad, and is a punishing God. And this makes it very hard to access that love, that unconditional love. To me, God is unconditional love and peace and truth and joy and wisdom. But one of the things that I do to help people bypass any spiritual abuse is I ask them to imagine an older, wiser part of themselves, their own higher self. Because, see, our soul is really big. The energy of our soul is huge. It's just huge. It's way too big to fit into our body. And so part of our soul is here. That's that inner child. That's that feeling place. That part of our soul communicates often through feelings. But there's our soul all around us. That's our higher self, higher soul. So right now, just see if you can imagine an older, wiser part of you, like 100 years from now, very wise, very loving, that absolutely adores you and is here for you all the time. Just use your imagination. It's okay to use your imagination. When I grew up, I was told, oh, it's only your imagination. But I've learned that the imagination is a bridge to spirit. It's part of our creativity. It's part of our ability to access that higher guidance. So just imagine that older, wiser part of you, or whatever else. If you have an angel, if you have your concept of God that works for you, if you have a saint, whatever it is that works for you, I want you to just invite the love and compassion of that higher energy into your heart, just by saying, I invite you into my heart. Okay, and breathe that in. So that's what creates what we call the loving adult. The loving adult is who we are when we're open to learning about loving ourselves and when we're connected with our higher source of love.